All right, welcome to Halitics. I'm Hal Ginsberg. So excited to talk again to two great comics this morning. Well, today, let's just say this day. So whatever you're watching, we will have the right time. We've got Rhonda Hansome and Elizabeth Croydon. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. I've got your images up there too, and I did have to squint a little bit and put a big red fat oval around you, Rhonda, at the bottom, because I think Elizabeth's sister-in-law did that promo for the show
the one
next
where
week.
I'm wearing my crown. Yes,
I
Mike
was trying to
and-
illustrate that black women have it harder in this country than white women do.
Well, the other women in there are pretty small too. I think it was more about you, Elizabeth, centering Elizabeth rather than putting the black woman in her place. Although you are
I'm
in the bottom.
happy to take credit for that flyer, but I will not give away the artist's name. They prefer to be like Prince and keep it to a symbol. That symbol is in the corner, known as a QR code to buy a ticket. In the artist's defense, I will say that photograph is actually me leaving the jailhouse upon being locked up a day and a half with 5.5 hours shackled after criticizing Ted Cruz voting against women's rights. So, it might be a little big.
Well, I like the way you're kind of like you're displaying yourself kind of like Trump, right? He has that mug shot that was like professionally done. It's sort of the same with you.
That is exactly who I want to be compared to, Donald Trump. And that guy, I think the whole reason why people are not why he's not defeated is that guy needs a better insult comic to go up against him. He needs, he's the I'm rubber, you're glue kind of heckler. And what I did to Ted Cruz, I can do to you. Trump rhymes with stump.
Wow. All right. So we've got Liz with us. We've got Rhonda. Now, Rhonda, Elizabeth and we put it there, comic activist. Her humor generally often touches on politics. Are you also political either in your personhood or in your professional comedian role?
Oh, yes to both. In fact, I do John Fugelsang's show on Sirius XM every Monday night, discussing political topics. I actually write political cartoons on Facebook called Politics, and I write and anchor the real news on Politipod podcast. In fact, people always say to me, Rhonda, you know so much, you're involved so much in politics, you should run for office. And I say, no, I could not run for office with my spotty history, my checkered background. I'd have to run as a Republican.
Well, I want to say this, Rhonda. I love that picture.
Thank
I know
you
it's
for that hilarious reaction to that joke that took me forever to set up, Al. I want to thank you.
I was just, I wasn't really, I'm not a comic, obviously, and I once used to joke about why I don't do stand-up, and my co-host pointed out it's because you have no talent. But otherwise, I was acting like a comic by completely ignoring you and just trying to figure out what I was going to say that could top you in my remark. But I did want to say I love your picture that I circled in red. It's like you are sort of right, like it makes me smile just to see that. So I like that a lot.
I love it. Yeah, it has my crown and microphone, and I'm ready to go. I am absolutely ready to go.
All right, well, we will talk politics. This is Halitics, and I'm pretty far to the left. I have one more question. I know Liz lives down here in D.C. She goes up to New York a lot. Are you a New Yorker, a native New Yorker, a transplanted New Yorker?
I am a native New Yorker, born and raised in Bed-Stuy, and I have been gentrified out of Brooklyn and now reside in the South Bronx. Yeah.
Okay, so you went from Bed-Stuy to the South Bronx. How does that work into your act? I mean, you must tell some jokes about the rough neighborhoods.
it's nothing to joke about living in the South Bronx. Let me tell you, I actually live in a food desert. The neighborhood delicacy is cactus, so it really is quite quite rough here.
Are you
Your face is just
is it better now?
My favorite punchline. I love it.
I mean, the cactus, I was trying to figure that. Is it like, was that like it's sort of a Latino section, like cactus? The Mexican?
Well, yes, it is. It is a Latino speaking, I guess, Spanish speaking neighborhood. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I'm the tallest person on my block, so that's really interesting.
So I know I'm laughing at that. I really am. I promise you. Is it better now? Because when I was a kid, I grew up in Westchester in a sheltered, leafy suburb there. And I would be scared even just getting on that train. When we stopped at Fordham, I would get a little nervous. Is it a little
spoken better? Like a true leftist?
Yes, exactly. A liberal now. Is it better now? Because I knew guys who grew up there from college, and it was rough. I mean, no question, as you just said.
I don't know about it being better. All I know is how it is where I live, and I prefer my grit, grime, and crime Brooklyn style rather than the Bronx style. But hey,
we all have our crime preferences.
You gotta have a crime preference.
If you're not a billionaire and have your own private security system, we all have our preferences about how we'd like crimes perpetrated on us. And of course, those don't know what we must do to survive. I don't know. I have no idea.
I just know the people who have a crime preference in New Jersey, I respect highly.
I'm told that the mafia prefers to blow people up in cars in Girard, Ohio. I don't know where I picked that up. Maybe it was one of my lockups as an activist. But these are flavors. They're cultural subtleties.
Cultural subtleties and fun facts here.
Yeah.
There's no safe place in America with the kind of lack of control. Liz, right where you live, there was a murder there, right? Or your parents, when you've been down here in Kensington, right near me. Elizabeth and I are close, and it is, we live in. I'd like to think it's a pretty nice area, but. There's everywhere we are.
It's definitely a very nice area because, as you said, Hal, a murder.
Right.
Even the Upper West Side, where we're doing our comedy show, they have a whole series dedicated to murders on the Upper West Side. That's murders happen there. Now, I happen to be living a dream bohemian deal on the Upper B Side right now, and one of the advantages is that I live on a block that is occupied by a hospital, and I do have security cameras all over the area. And for the first time since the pandemic, I am not in a constant state of panic, which has me profoundly panicked because I've been panicking for the last 2.5 years from Taos, New Mexico, okay, where the survivalists are out to get you, because why not? It's a Friday night. There's nothing else to do, right? To Los Angeles, tent cities, like tent caterpillars in your trees, just lurking, waiting for you to slow down, coming home from, say, closing the Hollywood Wax Museum at 1 a.m., you got to call your Maui buddy that invests in your indie movies and talk to him really loudly while you walk down the center of the street. Because that's where the security cameras may make it perfectly clear that you were jumped by 4 homeless people.
I think
as
those
opposed
cameras...
to just grabbed by an ankle and sucked into a tent. We all have our crime preferences.
Well, I
prefer New York crime.
I think it's
Hey, give
safer
me your
now.
money.
I think
Okay.
it's safer in the cities now because of all those cameras. I do.
Hal, I don't understand what you mean. Like, is it a nice area? That's like when someone has been serial killing young men for the past 3 years, and everyone goes, "But this is such a good neighborhood," and he was so quiet. Except on Friday nights, you know, it really, it's all relative. It really.
Well, I'll give you an example. Like when I was living in California, I had a friend of mine from Salinas, and that's a pretty rough city, East Salinas.
Praise Janis Joplin.
We drove around. There's no parks. There's all there are houses, you know, small homes, apartments, some housing, no parks, no place for kids to play or anyone to get fresh air.
I have great parks here in the South Bronx, actually. I have a plethora of parks, which I am grateful for because I like to rollerblade there. So I'm very fortunate that way to do have four parks close by.
Just want to promote you guys. So Elizabeth and Rhonda are two of the great comedians and one comedian who are going to be on stage 1 week from this evening in Manhattan. Correct. This is Thursday the 7th for people who are watching another day or time. So Thursday the 14th. And the tickets, you can get them right in the link that's in the show description. So I put them right there, West Side Comedy Show. And let me see if I can get that slide up one more time for you guys. So there it is, West Side Comedy Club, Elizabeth's Radical Agenda. Elizabeth, you know what? I didn't figure Elizabeth's Radical Agenda stands for ERA until I saw that slide. So they did a nice job with it, actually.
Yeah, I'm really proud. I like that flyer. It's very nice. You know, this is actually, this entire show came about because I was assigned community service after criticizing Ted Cruz and his vote against women's rights. And so I wanted to pool my radical friends together to benefit an organization that has radically changed the national dialogue. Were it not for Equal Means Equals direct action work, people would not understand that we are absolutely just one step away from giving all women and LGBTQ community, IA community people protection equally on a federal level to men. And it was a big effort to pull away the veil of, Congress is going to vote to affirm the ERA. Well, Congress has nothing to do with publishing the ERA. It is absolutely on the president. And we have sued Donald Trump twice because Equal Means Equal was key in getting the last 3 states to ratify the 28th Amendment. So now it is technically a law, and there is a legal argument saying that it is against the law not to publish it now. However, we lost those court cases, and then we sued Biden twice, and twice we have failed there. Biden is following a Trump memo, because the money involved in keeping women as a second-class citizen is bipartisan and very extensive. So that's why there are 3 choices of pricing on the West Side Comedy Club's website. You'll notice that the tickets start at $28 because I want everyone to come and enjoy my friends' comedy. It goes up to $280 because there are a lot of people on the Upper West Side. Shout out to Dr. Bridget Alexander that put real skin in the game and live equality in their life and their careers. And then $2,800 for those who would like to see me critique the Senate again, perchance, if I should spontaneously be inspired to. That is about the cost of what it would be for me to say, go down to Washington and attain legally the invitation to the Senate and enjoy and behave myself all the way up to the top. But should I want to practice my free speech and be heard word for word on C-SPAN so that no one can carry a charade that anyone has anything to do with the publication of the Equal Rights Amendment outside of the president,
so
I can do it.
So here's what I don't understand. We'll get into the politics even more. We're going to talk Hawaii. I know that Maui is dear to your heart, Elizabeth, and get into the culture wars. I think that was alluded to with the Cruz, obviously with Ted Cruz, ERA, obviously. And I also want to talk about New Yorker AOC briefly. She's got a lot of love. I don't know how much of it I would say is deserved. But Rhonda, I'm curious if you... I mean, what's going on with this thing with Biden where he wouldn't it be in his political interest to go ahead and publish this and get more women supporting him?
But Hal, that's such a great question. Like, if it doesn't matter what his political interest is, he's going to do what the powers that be decree. I mean, you're asking, like, isn't it common sense to publish this and make women's equality a reality? I'm still wondering how come my ability as a black person to vote has been in question every 10 or 15 years here. You can't expect common sense in the political situation. As Elizabeth said, this is bipartisan BS here. It's bipartisan, and if Biden wants to have more support from women, this might help him. But I think also if he stopped smelling their hair, that might help too.
Well, are you surprised, both of you, that he doesn't have more support? There isn't a bigger gender gap. I mean, we're even seeing people of color. Trump seems to be getting more support from people of color than he did 4 years ago, according to some polls. Does that surprise you?
I don't believe those polls. It's just unfortunate that the Biden barely squeaked by, because the alternative was Trump, and people are going, wow, what can I do? But I really, Hal, I can't tell you, Hal, I'm fed up with both of them. I feel like, there is a concerted effort to give the elites, the 0.1%, everything that they need, and to just squash everyone underneath, and not just squash, but take away rights that have been fought for decades, for generations, like it means nothing.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in about 2 minutes when we talk about Maui and pushing out the native Hawaiians and the folks who've lived there for generations. Maybe they're not native Hawaiians, but people who've lived in that area of Maui, Lahaina, getting shoved out. I just really want to quickly transition. By the way, you're watching Halitics, you're listening to Halitics, so click like, click subscribe, bottom right, the little blue and white square. We're so excited to talk to Elizabeth Croydon and Rhonda Hansome, and you can see their Twitter handles. And I made you guys, I said one link, but I should have given you more. So quickly, do you have any other sites you want to promote besides your Twitter handles?
I want to say the lineup is phenomenal. This is a great lineup of funny people who are going to be at the West Side Comedy Club. Even if you're apolitical, come out for the laughs. I mean, we're going to be delivering there. We really do the laughs. Yeah.
I am so excited that all of these people just said, yes, I want in on this. And it just happened so magically. Jay McBride is hilarious. And Eric Marino is a hero of mine. Felicia Madison, I live my wedded life vicariously through her humor. And I'm just so excited that Rhonda and I ran into each other as soon as I moved to New York. And I'm just so thrilled that she and the Carol Montgomery said yes. It is an honor to be on this lineup with these people. And I would have made if I had made my flyer, all of these people's pictures would be much bigger than mine.
Well,
my toxic flaw as a producer, aside from tasing people when the sales tickets are low, is that I will book all of my friends and give myself no time. I'll be like, we have an hour and 20 minutes. Everybody gets 2.5 minutes. I brought 27 of my friends, and we're all leaving pals with the audience.
I think it's awesome you put this
know.
together, Elizabeth. I remember when we met, we definitely hit it off right away. And I was like, I had no idea you were this big shot. I'm flattered that you wanted to even be on the program. So thank you for that doing me that
my
solid.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it. All right, let's get to the politics. It's always not so funny, sadly. We're not in a funny times. But we've got topics.
The apocalypse will be merchandise, though.
It really will. I'm just going to show this slide real quick. This is from my program yesterday.
Oh,
and if you remember, Elizabeth, when we did our last one, I had to take out part because FIFA didn't like it that I showed like 5 seconds from the Women's World Cup. So this is for yesterday's program because I showed a clip of a missile hitting a city in Ukraine, and they didn't like that. So there it is. Following content.
You're doing something right. You're being censored. Congratulations. You're red taped.
I guess. I'm surprised they even let it stay because it came from the New York Times, but I thought they might have objected, but they just didn't like that. And it is really terrifying. I mean, people on the street, just a day-to-day street corner, and then suddenly there's boom.
Yeah, you're talking about that kaboom. There's so many kabooms in the world these days. It's difficult to keep them straight. You know, there were definitely a number of Maui kabooms during the fire, but that Ukraine kaboom was very jarring.
That's
upsetting.
And
violence is upsetting. You know.
But Hal, I think Liz is onto something because my idea that I've been seeing is that YouTube is trying to keep everyone in line, so they randomly choose you on a regular basis to censor whether they've done anything or not, just to make sure you stay on your toes and don't say anything too alarming.
Yeah, and accept being censored, which is something I have had a lifelong issue with.
Well, I'm glad I'm not doing radio because you do have a potty mouth, Elizabeth, and I never know when it's going to rear its head, so I don't have to worry because YouTube, that's one thing they don't seem to care about. I wanted to talk about this briefly, at least a little bit with both of you. Very upsetting. I know Maui is very close to your heart, Elizabeth, from our last conversation.
Yeah, it is.
Talk about this story a little bit.
Well, I've been watching a lot of the local news that's coming out of Maui, and I'm aware that Lahaina has been a target for developers for decades. This specific battle has gone on. My buddy, my high school homie, Rob, his house was spared. The way he has described it to me, and I've only been able to speak to him once, is that he does not have potable water, but the fire stopped at his house. It burnt his neighbor's house down to the ground, and his house was spared. One local indigenous person was saying that they watched the fire skip certain homes. There seems to be a lot of question around the perfect storm of the fire hydrants being empty without water.
And the alarm not going off.
Yeah,
the alarm.
Right, no alarm.
Hey, we deliberately decided not to warn you guys and let sleeping children die because we thought you'd all run up the mountain to the fire, not noticing all the wildlife running your direction. And no, those are just for tsunamis. We know we have volcanoes and we know we have meth addicts. And we don't use the alarm on that. Yeah, that's
I like someone's line. I would love to give credit, but that director actually stepped down. They said because he was sick and tired. He was sick of the negative response to his reaction.
Yeah, imagine that. And guys,
incompetence, total incompetence, or collaboration, might we say?
Or collaboration. I mean, there was legislation. One activist elementary school teacher in Maui did point out that the governor passed very curious legislation regarding emergency situations in which the government can assign power to this one person and deny union contracts, exploit people. The locals talk about exits being cut off during the mass exodus of the fire, forcing people into the water. Locals talk about thousands of people being dead, that the locals were the only people pulling bodies out of the water, that FEMA didn't bother to count the water deaths. It seems like they've been stuck on the number 114 dead for a number of days. So it's vomitous. And then you have things in place where billionaires are asking working class Americans to help Maui.
I mean, this was the thing that blew my mind when two of the richest people in the world are standing there going, "You need to donate to these people," and I'm going, "Thank you." and your homes were spared as well.
Yeah. 2,000 acres of untouched land, and you're a billionaire. And you know how to rent a Honeywell toilet station as a producer, and you aren't giving out people's land? I know, the greed involved in this. Oprah was allowed to visit these people, and
bring them pillows.
Did she give them like those parting gifts? Doesn't she always give gifts to her audience?
No gifts. She did try to bring them a CBS cameraman to their faces the evening after the fire went out, but the cameraman was denied. Oprah was allowed access. The local pastor who wanted to administer prayer to the mourning and the worried and the sick and the wounded, he was not allowed in. But Oprah was allowed in. You know, there is a more powerful force in the universe than Oprah, and that's Dopra. And it would have been Dopra of her to share her land. And she still could level up to Dopra if she does that. And you get a plot, and you get a plot, and you get a plot. But right now, everyone's very satisfied that Lahaina has magically burnt and incinerated to the ground a spot where a, quote, satellite city is supposed to be designed. So this amazing, magical, natural disaster, an act of God, has granted a developer's wet dream. And all of these locals have gotten $700 from our government. Wow.
Well, I wanted to put this clip.
Disaster capitalism is rampant and very successful in this particular situation.
And you know what, Ron, I was thinking about this when you mentioned both Bed-Stuy and the South Bronx. Those areas, inner cities that have often been, really bad in terms of crime and upkeep and landlords and all that. But when profit, the developers swoop in, they just displace folks. And maybe it wasn't the greatest place, but this was their homes. Maybe they've started to build, create a vibrant community, and they just throw them out.
It was a great place. And that is why They, by design, neglected it for 2 decades and then came in to swoop in and buy up brownstones, beautiful, historically built brownstones and homes of people who have lived there forever, and shoo them out so that now they can develop it for boutique stores and for hot and actually renovated and converted apartments and homes for the wealthy. It is the same thing, and I feel like not only was that done by design in Bed-Stuy, but this could very well have allegedly be done by design in Hawaii.
Yeah. Hey man, you're bumming me out. Okay. I decided not to pull the alarm, because y'all common folk are gonna run up the mountain where the fire is. So I quit. I'm not accountable anymore. Man, this job's a bummer. Sorry, there's some dead people.
It's terrible. It's just so bad. I mean, a friend of mine in Detroit, I used to talk to him a lot on my program. Even in Detroit, people say, oh, that city is destroyed. But the developers swoop in. People want to live in a city. There's a lot of infrastructure in Detroit. There are some beautiful old homes. And the residents get shoved out farther and farther, 8-mile drive, whatever, 12-mile. And their lives are again shattered.
Are neglected. They are, left to political shenanigans, redlining, whatever. And then when they are at their lowest, they get people out. They use eminent domain or any kind of transactions to get people out and then develop it for their own designs, for corporations, for elites. I mean, even the housing, I'm hearing we've got legions of homeless, and there are corporations that are just warehousing these apartments and hotels. It's in my opinion. In my alleged opinion.
Alleged. I like that. Alleged's good. Don't own it, Rhonda. Don't own it.
It is by design. It is by design.
No question. People. I've read some it's conspiracy theory that the fire was created or started to displace people. Maybe I'm not saying that.
You know what? Oprah had conveniently before the fire. Wow. She had fire. She had a fire department. She had fire protective service before this fire broke out.
I mean, people knew there was a real risk. I don't know that it was done.
Private fire team.
I would just say this: it may or may not have been done by design, but it's an opportunity. Regardless of whether they planned it, this is an opportunity that the disaster capitalist, as Naomi Klein discusses, will not miss. They're not going to miss it. Give both sides of the story, the Hawaiian governor, Josh Green, did pass a law or enacted a bill that you couldn't sell your land right away in the wake of the fires. But there's lots of other ways around that. We have to keep a very close eye because these politicians cannot be trusted as far as you can throw them.
Locals are saying in the video that I have watched, one I believe is called The Burning of Lahaina. It's on YouTube. It's put together by an independent camera person who went in there and jumped the fence. There are now blackout fences that the government is putting up around areas that people cannot see. People are being denied returning to where their homes once were. They're asking that they're telling us that they're being asked to sign things they don't understand what they're signing. Old Hawaiian families are pulling together money to get their own air quality control audit happening to make certain that the government is reporting safety issues correctly, because the government has been known to drive away indigenous populations, lying about the toxicity of property, getting people to sell out cheaply. The locals are also asking for people to vacation in Maui because the hotels were untouched, and Lahaina is where the employees of the hotels work, and they depend on the tips that people bring in. And the government is saying Hawaii is closed. Apparently, Hawaii is not closed. Apparently, the hotels are still running, and the people of Lahaina are asking people to go to those hotels.
It'd be a tough sell, though. I mean, you see this.
Hawaii isn't closed. It's the mind of the government that is closed. It is
yeah.
of the
Boom.
government.
I'll tell you what, it's a tough sell, though. It would be a tough sell to get me to go to Maui right now. When you see that area
I'd go.
with all the
I would go. It falls
area.
into one of my woman friends' revolutions. She believes in the luxury revolution. She lives in this world as a Black woman, and she feels that as a Black woman, if she can't do it in luxury, it's not her revolution. And I would go with her to the luxury hotels and tip the bejeebus out of these people and give them money to change their world. If I was of the 1%, all the more reason to buy tickets to my comedy show and make all my friends wealthy is that we know how to spend the money.
I was going to go there, westsidecomedy.com, I believe, but the link is in the show description. Please click on it and please come see these two hilarious ladies and their friends a week from tonight. And I can't absolutely promise, but I'm 98% there, Elizabeth, so I look forward to seeing both of you.
98% is a much better forecast than before.
Yeah, it was 90.
Let there be slack.
It was 91% last time. We're up to 98. All right,
that is great.
Yeah, I'm really excited
to come out and feel very comfortable being there and happy to laugh at this great comic lineup. You're not going to see anything like this anyplace else. It's really a bunch of really funny, diverse, talented people.
I'm super excited. Super excited.
I have a smart person fetish. I'm okay if my fans are the people that survive the apocalypse. The rest of them can, miss the joke. But I really enjoy the Upper West Side folk, and Felicia runs an amazing club with fantastic hospitality. Jen is a fantastic house manager. The crew is amazing. And once again, I'm going to be laughing with everyone too, because these people are hilarious. Carol Montgomery, if you don't know who she is, she's the executive producer and creatrix of Funny Women of a Certain Age. She's done 3 Showtime specials, and she's done television for years.
Well, I loved her in Bewitched. I thought she was hilarious.
Eric Marino.
There's my age. So, because it's Elizabeth, right? Because it's Elizabeth Montgomery and not Carol. Sorry, go ahead. Showstopper.
What a great. But I admire the attempt, Hal.
Thank you. I told you there's a reason I don't do stand-up. All right, so westsidecomedyshow.com, West Side Comedy Club. This is posted. We are very progressive at Halitics, and one of our very frequent viewers and guests is just always on Trump. He's a Trump phobe, whatever term you want to do. So here it is. Now it's not a cult, but of course I go because I always go after Democrats, and I mentioned AOC. I'm like, is it okay? There's definitely cult-like followers for Trump, but what about Ms. Ocasio-Cortez? I feel like her fans, and I want you to weigh in, especially you, Rhonda, but also Elizabeth. Is it fair to say that her fans also are often cult-like?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out if she's Black or not. I can't really tell.
Well, she's a Latina. So is she a Black Latina though? Is she a Black Latina?
I'm not quite sure if she's Black or not, or if she knows if she's Black or not. It's almost like George Santos light as far as her different ethnicities that could possibly be there. And I'm still trying to figure out how could she represent Queens and the Bronx. I don't know. It's a miracle.
Well, that's not her fault. I mean, that's the people who drew the district, right? I mean, they drew a circle around the Bronx and
I
Queens.
think there is something nefarious going on there.
Well, I'm going to say she's not a Black Latina because it's in her description here. And this is a fundraiser I saw on my Facebook page, and I went right through it. She says, I come from a low income and one of the few working where does she say, I am Latina? So she's trying to appeal to as many different groups as she possibly can and get money from all of them. Wouldn't she say I am African American or I'm a Black Latina?
She should just be like, "All you poor motherfuckers."
If she wouldn't she want to appeal to you? Wouldn't that be the way to appeal to you, Rhonda? Is if she threw in black as well, or she's born in New York, right? So she can be an African American Latina.
Any politician who wants to appeal to me should say they are for reparations for foundational Black Americans, for freedmen, the descendants of the enslaved here, and they will have my attention like crazy. That's the way to get my vote. Just say you're up for reparations.
So are you with my candidate, Dr. Cornel West? Does that mean, because he is indeed for reparations for the descendants of enslaved people in this country, does that mean you're going to just throw the Democrat Party out with the bathwater and vote for Dr. West next November?
Oh, I became an independent because I just could not take not getting anything specifically for me for my vote. And I'm going to listen to what Dr. West has to say, but I feel like we need more people. I don't think he is going to garner the attention he needs, but I think he may divert attention, but I don't know that he's going to garner the money, the attention, and the momentum he needs to pursue a very strict reparations platform.
Well, I hear you. And if I didn't think he was clearly superior to anybody else running, I might consider voting for a Democrat. But in this case, I just can't do that. But
again, Hal, I say to you, quality doesn't matter in this particular situation. You know, when
I wish every campaign ad started with that.
Wow.
Look, let's not discuss quality, people, okay?
We'll just get sidetracked.
I see. I think the electorate is smarter than the politicians treat them. It's just that we are given such awful choices over and over. It's sort of like if your choices are McDonald's or Burger King and you go to one, that doesn't mean you think the food is good. It's just like, well, what else was I going to do? And I kind of feel like that's what we're looking at.
If the populace could be very well smarter, but if we're not richer, it's not going to help us. The whole political system is run on money. And the populace has the lowest wallet, the lowest bank account to put into getting what we need from so-called people who are serving us, government servants, these politicians.
Anything you want to add to that, Elizabeth? I want to get into the AOC cult issue as well.
Well, you know, I'm all for her cult of personality fans. The more Latina little girls get involved in politics and the earlier they find out how screwed they are, the better. I'm for radicalizing everyone. And if you look at AOC as a cult of personality archetype, I enjoy her fan base much more than the MAGA cult of personality type, which tends to own guns, want to use them. I'm not certain how often they wash their hands. I'm very concerned about what they believe. Even though neither one of us have usually completed college, I feel that I read and understand more than they do, and I'm scared. But it's like,
I hear you. But I think the Democrats should try to do more to appeal to them rather than mock them. I mean, that's the problem.
Wait, Hal, are you saying the Democrats should appeal to MAGA people?
I think they should. I think they should talk about issues like Medicare for all. I think that people who, even if they vote for Trump, they still want health care. I think they should talk about jobs. I think they should talk about rebuilding Appalachia and the heartland.
Common sense approach again, Hal. You are just incorrigible.
Let's all put the Nazi regalia down for a minute. Let's all say that we're not Nazis in this great country of ours.
I'm in the wrong room right now. But let's just finish off the AOC stuff. So yeah, just some of these comments.
Hey, put down those white sheets for a minute. For a minute, okay, just for a minute. There are grander wizards than you out there, and we'd like you to vote blue. Please vote blue.
So more of AOC's fans. Again, Cole Bernardi, I just love you and all you represent. We need you. You are so beautiful. I don't know how her being, and she is attractive, of course, but who cares? I mean, why is that relevant? But again, that's where I'm going into being logical, right, Rhonda? Got to stop that.
I think she really needs to start an OnlyFans, and she'll really have enough.
AOC.
I just want her to confront the Democrats. I just wanted to go after the Democrats. But this one really sort of, I was like, I wish you had been a daughter of mine. It's a little creepy. That's a little creepy. Would you let me adopt you? Wow. Okay.
Oh.
I don't know. That seems a little. You are among the very best that NYC has to offer. Comments? You're from two. I thought you were still down here in Kensington, Elizabeth. You're a New Yorker too. Is that?
I mean, whatever I am.
that adoption wish reminds me a little bit of Gates and his adoptee Nestor. Remember that? That's
I feel like this person needs a stuffed animal. Hal. I feel.
Or to get stuffed, I am not sure.
Or a life-size cutout cardboard doll.
Did Woody adopt?
Their imaginary daughter.
Did Woody adopt Sun Yi before he married her? I wasn't sure about that.
I thought so.
We are in a territory that I don't read up on very much.
I'm showing my age. That's way old news.
Whether he actually adopted her or not, he was in a parental role with her before his role switched to that of spouse.
Yes. So that's where the kind of, I'm going with that, Rick Mammal. But that's an interesting name too, Mammal, although he doesn't spell it the way I would. All right, we probably exhausted this. Let's move on. We've got a few more minutes left. Don't forget, get those tickets.
I'm
please.
so excited.
Comedy Club, yes.
WestsideComedyClub.com.
Yeah,
and
I will be revealing my philosophies of life through the Jackson 5 Commandments. And once you have the Jackson 5 Commandments under your belt, everything will be okay.
What are those? I'm not familiar.
Well, you'll have to come. You're 98% there, man.
I'll be there.
You will have to come and find those. I am writing more. And one of the new Jackson 5 Commandments, although then it becomes 6, but really when you're dealing with the Jackson 5, Janet was kind of like the 6th Beatle in that group, or the 5th Beatle in the 6th Jackson 5. Or 2 and 2
Did she sing? I never saw her singing in those videos. Like,
does it matter? No.
Well, I don't know.
She was in the family.
She was.
I don't know. I have only come to the Jacksons late in life. I rejected the music of Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson as a dutiful goth girl when they were released. I have since rediscovered them in seeking to connect with everyone across the globe. And that is how I arrived at these commandments that have changed my life, and I try to live by them.
Come out and hear these commandments, folks. You gotta come to New York City,
Thou
West
shalt
Side Comedy Club, and get the commandments from the woman. Get them.
Thou shalt got to be starting something, so you might as well start regularly attending the West Side Comedy Club.
Absolutely,
it's something to do.
Well, I understand there's a Michael Jackson show. Did you know that? I don't know if it's it's not a hologram. I think they have an actor who has figured, can really present just like MJ did. And have you seen that or heard about that?
I love,
well,
you separate the artist from the fan base. It's like, okay, AOC, yeah, she's been indoctrinated into the system, but look at her fan base. Look at Michael Jackson's fan base. Those kids love music. They want dance in their life, no matter what they have.
Worldwide.
Now, I want those people worldwide to understand that they matter. Tito mattered. Thou shalt Tito. And Tito lived longer than Michael. So it doesn't matter if you are the lead singer or you are taking the ticket at the concert. You could be that cool ticket taker that lets the handicapped person go in around the little booth clicker, accommodates.
Around the turnstile.
Around that turnstile. I haven't written this joke yet. Around the turnstile. Giving that concert goer a better experience. You could be that ticket taker. You don't have to be the singer that extends their voice 3 octaves. You can be the person in the audience who worked really hard to have that ticket and is just sitting back and enjoying the slack and getting regenerated enough to come back to work and be that dependable cog in the machine and love it.
And speaking of being regenerated, people are going to feel that way after laughing at us at West Side Comedy. They are really going to be refreshed.
Yes.
Are you all going to be on stage together, or is it going to be seriatim?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we might start a band that night. Anything could happen.
Thank you for letting me say seriatim, because I haven't said that.
Seriatim's great. I don't know what seriatim means. Lay it on me.
One after the other in serial as opposed to
seriatim. Yeah, seriatim. I thought it referred to Siri and her passions.
Okay, Siri.
I know she's a hussy.
Apple
Siri.
person. So speaking of Jackson, I'm going to transition quickly, and I think it does work. The transition works to the culture wars the Republicans have been promoting. And here's a guy who I think he had gender fluidity. Clearly his sexuality was a big problem. If he had gotten good sex education, and maybe more importantly, if his father had, maybe some of the issues that cropped up during his life wouldn't have. Republicans are dead set against that, as you can see. And that's what equal means equal is about, right? Trying to end that, trying to protect all sexes, women and gender fluid folks as well.
The thing I love about equal means equal is that they don't mess around with their mission. They exist to publish the Equal Rights Amendment. After that, everyone wants to get back to being an artist. Kamala Lopez is an award-winning filmmaker who created this organization out of the need she discovered for it when she made the award-winning documentary Equal Means Equal. You can go to equalmeansequal.com to see her documentary, and you can also go to equalmeansequal.org to support the work. But none of us that have been involved with Equal Means Equal are interested in prolonging the organization to hold on to our high-ranking salary and perpetuate a nonprofit claiming to make progress forever, but is really only throwing cocktail parties. We want to get it done. Vice President Natalie White is a New York artist of international fame. She does not want to stick around and prolong the process any more than necessary. We exist to publish this, and we are one step away in that process.
And your audience can help by coming out to the West Side Comedy Club and enjoying us and get the tickets now.
Yeah,
Well,
choose your level of support.
Well, since
Because
I'll
it goes
be
directly
there,
to us.
since I'll be there, that means 50% of my audience will be at the program.
Boom. All right.
So let's get into the brass tacks about the culture war. Will the Equal Rights Amendment, does it also protect trans people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Non-binary. The way it is written, that no one shall be what is it?
Discriminated against?
Thank you. Jeez,
It's not one of these things
God,
like going to
you put me in such a benevolent mood. I cannot think about the discrimination I suffer under every day.
It's not like there's going to be a stipulation that one group is going to be 3/5 of the equality or something.
Equality under the law shall not be abridged or denied on the basis of sex.
All right. Well, there it is.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Any comments on this Republican war on, and I really focused on sex education, which strikes me as so incredibly irrational. The state with the highest pregnancy rate, Mississippi, requires teaching abstinence only. Does that make sense to you, Rhonda?
What makes sense to me, Hal, is having sex education in the home. I feel like we're giving over too much responsibility to the schools. The school can't even budget for banning books, let alone teaching about contraception. I think that this is something that needs to be taught by parents. This is something that needs to be communicated and talked about. Human relations needs to be part of our dinner conversation so that we understand what intimacy is, what having a partner is about, what relationships are about, and what reproduction is about. If we keep giving over everything to the schools, what are parents talking to their children about, Hal? There's no substance there. Everything is just, here's a device, or here's the school. Look on your phone, look on your tablet, or just go to the school and take any kind of indoctrination. We have to bring back parents talking to their children, in my opinion.
Imagine that.
Well, as a parent about sex, as a parent of two boys, I will tell you the last thing I want to discuss with them is sex. I am totally prefer, and they don't want to talk to me about it either. So I did, though. I said, hey, you don't do anything that isn't consensual with somebody who wants to just as much as you do, and you don't bring babies home. You just go get your contraceptives every single time, and we're all good. That was as far as it went, as far as I was going with it.
But I really feel like the element that is missing in this discussion about sex is, and you can call me wacko if you want, I'll answer. The spiritual aspect, the nurturing and the physical, mental, and emotional benefits of sex beyond the momentary connecting and smashing of bodies. I mean, we don't look at it as something that is holistic in our lives as human beings. It's shuttled off sometimes into recreation or to fetishes or to whatever is like secret and not to be talked about, and how it enables us and enriches us as human beings is almost never discussed about sex.
More emotional porn. That's what we're saying.
Well, I think you're spot on, Rhonda. I totally agree with that. And I would note people are having less sex now because people are poor, they're anxious, they're stressed out. I mean, this is part of being a human being. As you said, it's a connection, and we're not doing it, not like we used to. And we have to respect each other, but when people are happier, they do have sex more often, and we're not a happy society.
Let's get happy, folks. Come down to the West Side. Comedy Club and get happy.
You will be guaranteed to have the most mind-blowing sex of your entire life if you go to the West Side Comedy Club next Thursday. Are you prepared to make that guarantee right now to your audience?
I will guarantee it because so many great endorphins will be released in these people that they will not be able to keep themselves from having an enjoyable interaction with the person of their choice in the privacy of their home.
To quote the great Purple Nation leader Prince, in a word or two, it's you I want to do.
Wow.
No, not your body, your mind, you fool.
Wow, you are a font of lyrics that I've never heard of. But, you know, speaking of, I don't think the sex has to be in private either. Did you hear about this lady who apparently had a very loud orgasm while listening to the LA Philharmonic do a Beethoven symphony in concert? And, you know, there's a lot of quiet times. And the audience was just like aghast, or I don't know what the right word is, but there was this woman, she started just shout, like it was like When Harry Met Sally.
Well,
well, if you haven't been to the symphony on shrooms, I highly recommend it. Excuse me for speaking over you, Rhonda. I just highly recommend it. Those of you who are responsible and can handle it, you take the shrooms, you go see Beethoven, and you have what she's having. Rhonda?
No, I was just thinking that if she had a very audible orgasm at that concert, that it was very much better than having diarrhea that person on the airplane. I think it's 100% better.
Did you have to? I mean, I wouldn't have gone there. I just want to thank both of these wonderful guests.
I went there, Hal.
I know you did. I got it. No, what do I say about my show? No third rails. No third rails on Halitics. And Rhonda Hansome just proved it. So we're going to close now. I want to thank both of these wonderful women. Equal does indeed mean
both of you guys.
Equal. Rhonda Hansome and Alice Croydon. Elizabeth's Radical Agenda, 1 week from this evening in Manhattan on the West Side. Thank you both. Final words from each of you. Tell us a good joke.
What did the goat say when he ate the reel of film, my fellow New Yorkers and intellects, culture vultures, and worldwide minds? I liked the book better. In the name of John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
I did hear that Trump wants to debate Meghan Markle because he feels like debating Meghan Markle is because she can't be too smart if she lost a $20 million deal based just on lack of productivity. That is his mainstream. That's his wheelhouse, and he's going to take her down.
Well, that is a good one too. Honestly, I am just, I'm laughing inside. I want to thank you again both.
You are an expert at laughing inside, Hal. I have to commend you.
That's right. The quietest laugher at my show will win a prize.
Speaking of Beethoven,
very big joke.
All right, don't get too excited. We'll end with a little Beethoven, and I'll see you guys in a week. Thank you all so much. Thanks for joining.
I love you, Hal. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Rhonda. Thank
you. Love you both.